exactly right. Exactly right.
Other end of copyrights.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 weeks in a row. Oh no, it's a league pitch.
Yeah, yeah. It's my face went from like this is where the game starts.
Friend goes afterwards, mate.
I do
That's
the
it.
Sydney Olympic ones because they're close.
Yeah.
Because they're
No, because I have to come all the way to fucking Sydney. Yeah.
Romero not starting.
So he's moving around. I'm interested because who knows Presley doing as well. It'll be interesting. Olympic one got a whole new back four.
Oh wow.
So that was with
That
Timothy
is-
there.
Man, that'd be good to watch.
Ziggy's out, obviously. I think it was taken off last week. So yes, will be interesting.
Wow. Well, I guess that's what
There's news already. Yeah, that's good. People finding out what they're doing. Yeah, it looked like Cheng and Tim Slay was the back with Candiera in, which I was surprised didn't have it last week. So
Was Timothy out last week?
maybe not for this is one of those things. The big players take
Yeah.
and Matt Sim used to do it all the time. He wouldn't start there like a month. He'd come in and score 4 goals in 4 games. It's like
So you can just
exactly. Because
his
you can.
pre-season is
Yeah,
the first 4
exactly.
weeks.
That's right. That's right.
Great
I'm
call
not.
last weekend.
No, I appreciate it, bro. It was good fun. I was lucky because it was really drifting along the game. Manly came out second half, really played some good stuff.
Yeah.
Unlike this week.
Yeah, but they look in form.
They look like they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
They look like they're figuring it out. Mate, I think they average age in the team is like 20.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I was like, I mean, I'm not, like,
You know, I'm about to say they're all about your age.
well, I'm not an expert, but like, when I was like looking, I was like, I do not recognize
No.
any of these players.
So a lot of them have played at good level. A lot of ex-academy guys. There's Republic. Oh, here we go.
It's always good when you can take up this. There you go, Jason not starting. Presley is starting.
My fault, I just had to flick it on. Not bad. Yeah.
very much, mate. Yeah. Talk soon, eh? Go well. Where are we?
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to round 2 of the NPL New South Wales Men's from Valentine Sports Park, the history and heritage of Sydney Olympic. Facing last season's surprise packet, St George City, both teams looking to bounce back from first-up losses last weekend. Contrast in history, contrast in storylines for these two. Last weekend, Olympic had their colours blown on their own patch by newly promoted Hills United. They went into that game as underdogs themselves in a time around. Olympic hoping to avoid another ambush and build some momentum ahead of their entry into the National Second Division next year. So let's have a look at the two teams. Alex Molchanov, delighted to be along with you for this Saturday twilight kickoff, and there is a fair bit of it for Sydney Olympic, who've rejigged their back line. 3 changes for Labino Haliti, and they line up like this. In goal again, number 1, Noah James. In front of him, a back 4, Zach Zoricic, wearing number 12, moves to right back, alongside number 4, George Timotheou, making his first start for Olympic today. Number 18, Ten Qual next to him, and number 23, another new signing in Jackson Bandiera. In front of them, a midfield 3, number 8, Sam Mickle-Hatton, a regular feature of that midfield for Olympic over the past few years. Number 29, George Antonis, and number 10, Darcy Burgess, a front 3, beginning as well for Haliti. On the left, number 11, Adam Parkhouse. On the right, number 7, Jaden Casella. And up front, again, leading the line, number 99, the captain, Roy O'Donovan. And for City, just the one change from the side that fell 2-1 to Rockdale last weekend. In goal is number 1, Jack Kenny, and then a back 5. Number 2, Cameron Fong on the right. The middle, number 6, Tarek Erkan. Number 99, Matthew Karemalevsky. And number 4, Solomon John Monahan-Viker. Number 5, Famutu Kamada will be the left wing back. A midfield 3 for them. Number 33, Lewis Curry. Number 25, Brody Clarkson. And number 3, a first start for Josh Hong under Mirko Yiril. A front 2 of number 11, Costa Petratos. And number 30, the young startlet, Presley Ortiz, who gets us underway. City in red, kicking from left to right. Olympic in their traditional blue of their Greek heritage. It was an all-action start for both teams last weekend, and by the pace of this one so far in the opening couple of seconds, we're expecting something very similar here as Timotheou goes in very high on Ortiz. He's going to get a very early booking. At least it's red! A red card inside 20 seconds of his debut for George Timotheou. Unbelievable! An early red card to their opposition last weekend for Olympic. And one of their star signings is sent off inside the first minute. Very little hesitation from referee Jake Rose, who had a good view of it, as did his assistant Alessandro Lana on the near side. The studs were up, it was high, and I don't think he can have too many arguments with the decision, in all honesty. A shake of the head. A cold afternoon. George Timotheou is heading down for an early shower. He might not need one. Goodness me. Well, we were spot on in predicting fireworks. And now St George City are going to have 90 minutes plus whatever is added on to try and break down Sydney Olympic. The exact opposite of the scenario they faced last weekend. Quite remarkable. And that has certainly got the attention of a partisan Olympic crowd. I've had to make the move up to Bella Vista today. Football New South Wales headquarters, due to the state of the pitch at Belmore, which has copped its fair whack of rain, as well as some rugby league trials being played on it, as well as the Sydney Olympic matches for the first grade and the 20s. What can they do from this first corner? And there's a free header at the back post for Tarek Erkan, who feels he should have done better. A shake of the head and a slap of the ground as he retreats out of the Olympic penalty box. Just how will Haliti respond? Because that is, well, less than ideal. Probably the understatement of the day. And unfortunately, it's Darcy Burgess who's going to be the, well, innocent casualty, really, having to be removed. Will Much will move into the back line. Be interesting to see how this reshuffle goes. Almost be surprised if they go back to a back four. Certainly, if they do, and Bandiera and Zoricic, they've got two fullbacks who can push on, but it looks as though it's going to be Will Much sliding in alongside 10 Qual at the back. It was already a reshuffle back line for Haliti. It's not really the reshuffle he would have liked early in this one. O'Donovan's going to be so key to getting them out of this little mire that they found themselves in, and there'll be a very quick book in. Solomon John Monaghan-Viker, the first player shown a yellow card this afternoon. Cynical foul to bring down Jaden Casella, who was away down the right. Early signs suggest that Olympic won't be sitting back on their laurels, but didn't bear much fruit for them last weekend. Perhaps with a little bit more space to play on the counter, they'll have more fortune, but they've got an attacking set piece from which to set themselves here. Michael Hatton in towards Qual, but over his head. Can he retrieve it? Not quite. Well, suddenly his starting debut for Olympic just got a whole lot tougher as well. Losing his central defensive partner inside the first minute. Inside the first 30 seconds. Frantic start to this one. If you have just joined us, George Timotheou is the man who's been sent off 30 seconds into his debut for Sydney Olympic. Karamalevsky looking cross-field. Zoricic, who started at left full-back last weekend, down the right this, which is probably his preferred side. Has a chance to deliver from that area, and it was missed by Karamalevsky, but it also evaded O'Donovan. The 299s will be going head-to-head a fair bit this afternoon, I'd posit. Bandiera with an adventurous run into the area. Fairly easily dealt with by Erkan, who's turned up a good chance of his own already. That's all inside the first 5 minutes, just shy of that. Crazy start to this one. Well, something about Valentine Sports Park, it always seems to throw up these sort of encounters that are just full of fireworks. Certainly had that in the opening stages of this one. Bit of controversy thrown in amongst it all. Although, I have to say, from our position up here, the decision didn't look too controversial whatsoever. Apart from the fact that it was so early. Cameron Fong down the right called this ground home, at least the one behind us, which is being relayed. The artificial turf was his former club, the Sydney FC Academy side's home ground last year. They've, of course, made the move to the Illingdon Sports Centre, where they picked up a 2-0 win in their first home return there this season over Manly United last night. Slate of fixtures coming up right now and later this evening on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Wherever you're watching around the world, delighted to have your company on a cool Saturday afternoon in Sydney's northwest. Donovan getting his head on the initial ball forward. Josh Hong played a grand final here a couple of years ago for the Central Coast Mariners Academy, making his first start for the St George City side in the heart of their defence. For Mota Kamada, another new signing, and he's searching for Presley Ortiz. Always a threat in the air. Erkan with chance to bring it down on the edge of the area, and Bandiera, who I think Olympic fans will grow quickly fond of, such as the quality of him. There was a challenge in there from Fong on George Antonis. St George City have continued their run forward, easily claimed by Noah James on the line, and now I think the referee, well, he's at least having a glance over at George Antonis. Coming together between the Wanderers and Sydney FC Academy graduates. Antonis, of course, spent the last couple of years in the Wanderers Academy setup. Costa Petrato scrambling for it. In fact, it's Curry down that left side. Well-timed challenge from Antonis. Nakasela, who loves to run with the football. Couldn't keep that one in play, though. Sydney Olympic with the opposite challenge to the one that they faced last weekend when they fell to Hills United, despite Hills having their big new big name signing, I should say. Nikolai Muller sent off after half an hour. Another former A-League men's player. George Timotheou, the big name to be sent off early this weekend. Different sort of challenge for St George City. They're not used to playing with the majority of the football. Good attacking team though they are. It's a decent ball, Ortiz. Well, that's the chance you expect him to take, and perhaps the assistant's flag on the near side saved him some blushes there. Very talented young striker, Presley Ortiz, still only 20 years of age. Another one who's been through the Wanderers Youth Academy. Return of 11 goals in his 27 games last season for St George City. Plenty of them in areas like that. The Olympic backline, the weakened Olympic backline now. With Ziggy Gordon out injured. He was taken off in the early stages of that game, in the first half of that game last weekend against Hills United at Belmore. Alex Molchanoff joining you on the Football New South Wales YouTube page for what has been a frantic start to this second round clash. We've been so accustomed to seeing St George City set up in a back three. They're not doing that today by the looks of things. Karemalevsky partnered by Josh Hong in the middle of the park. Perhaps with that man advantage, it's falling into their hands a little bit. Okan looking as though he'll sit a little bit high next to Clarkson rather than in behind him. Have the opportunity to get forward a little bit more as well. Technically accomplished player, but certainly someone who we associate with defence first. Spent a little bit of time out with injury last season, the St George City skipper, but I'm sure he was happy to get back to this level. Had played a short stint up here with Sutherland in 2019 before switching back down to League One, which is where he was when St George City signed him. Weren't really promotion candidates at that stage. He's been their leader in their charge up the leagues and then up the ladder last season. He's playing Costa Betratos into his second year with City. Oh, and he's just breezed past Bandiera like he wasn't there. Into the area, Costa Betratos. Bandiera makes the recovering challenge. To his credit, never gave it up. Call from a couple of the Olympic supporters is for their side to wake up. Going to be doing a little more defending than perhaps they were expecting over the course of the 90 minutes here. Costa Betratos to this near side to take the corner he won. Taken short for Curry. Lovely little touch. Now back for Fong. Not his best ball in, and Mikkel Hatton is able to sweep up the scraps. Parkhouse in the foot race with the much younger Matthew Karemalevsky, which the St George City defender wins out. Won convincingly in the air by Much, playing out of position in the centre of defence after Timotheou's early red card. Casella's popped up on the left. This time easily dealt with going backwards by Fong. Olympics certainly haven't looked overburdened by that early red card. Still pushing forward early enough. Only 3 changes from Labano Haliti. So it's a little surprise, and the fact that most of them came in the heart of defence when it seemed to be the attacking area of the pitch which gave them issues last weekend. but perhaps justifying their selection in the early stages here. Bandiera certainly offers a creative threat, and Monahan Viker didn't have much idea what he was around him. There was no one in blue, but he's forced to put the ball behind for a corner. First one for the nominal hosts today. Just as Costa Petratos did a couple of minutes ago. Jackson Bandiera is over to take the corner from the far side, which he won. Left-footed, so it'll be an in-swinger. If indeed he looks to launch it, he doesn't. Goes short for Mickelhatton. Qual was the target again. Has been a couple of times already from those sort of set-piece situations. Olympic have adjusted remarkably well. They've been able to settle since going down to 10 men in the first minute here. Call from Mirko Jirel on the bench is for his City side to move the ball quicker. On a pitch that is in a better state than Belmore was last weekend, but still a little dry in patches. Ball has flown around it. How easy it'll be for players to get their foot on it and control will be interesting to see. It's Brody Clarkson signing this season after spending 2022 and a couple of years before that with the Sutherland Sharks. Hong being deployed today as a centre half in his first start for City. And also play as one of the screening two. Mickelhatton showing his usual exuberance and energy. It's been a sticking point for City to try and get past. He's involved again there as Curry tried to win it, and then a handball from Erkan as he looked to control. Casella wants to get on with it. Show of intent from Olympic. Knowing they need a change in narrative. It wasn't a good end to last season. Finished in 9th spot after such a bright start. First 3 games they were scoring goals for fun. They dried up a little after that, with the exception of O'Donovan, who managed to bang in 16. Third most in the competition. That was down from his Golden Boot effort the year before of 22. In his 38th year. Age hasn't caught him yet. Kremlevsky is opposite 99 today. Not too often you see 2 players wearing that number on one pitch. Curry fires the first meaningful shot. That has required action from Noah James. A couple of good chances which City haven't been able to put on target. Commanding win in the air from Hong, who's looked comfortable so far at the back. Clarkson, classy as ever. Kamada, Sharks teammate last season. Ortiz just bullying his way through defenders, eventually held up by Qual. Difficult to bully him off the football. This is a pattern of play I expect we'll be seeing for most of the afternoon. Olympic sat deep in their blocks of 4. City trying to find a way through them. Hong, or Fong rather. Remilevsky for Clarkson. Spinning pass off his left foot. Kamada goes with his right, and it's not his best effort, not his favoured one. Perhaps told with that cross. Easy claim for Noah James. Another one of the new signings for Olympic. There were a fair few of them in the off-season. James spent the last couple of years with the Newcastle Jets as one of their backup goalkeepers, as well as playing in the Northern New South Wales NPL with Lambton Jaffers, where he was a junior. One of the big clubs up in that part of the world. Nice turn from Kamada. It's a tricky prospect for opposition wingers when he gets forward like this. Goes to his opposite fullback in Fong. Ortiz has been trying to escape the attentions of 2 or 3 every time he's had the ball. Olympic well aware of the threat he offers. There were a couple of contrasting decisions being given there by referee Jake Rose and his assistant Alessandro Lana. They've conferred and come up with a corner. Much to the displeasure of the partisan Olympic crowd gathered here this afternoon. Ortiz up at the back post into a forest of bodies. Clarkson through another forest. Half-hearted appeals for a handball from City. Quickly waved away. Did take a deflection off an Olympic defender though, so it'll be another corner. Costa Petrados over to the far side. An in-swinging corner this time. Towards Ercan, well dealt with by James, who punched strongly. Fong on his less favoured left. Ortiz. They'll flick it over a couple. It's O'Donovan who returns the favour to clear. Touch from Fong, let him down. Allowed Casella to get Olympic driving forward on the break. Did well to recover. Classy work from Cameron Fong after giving it away initially. Gave Teng Kuol something to deal with. Fires it into the stand on the near side. Just below our commentary position this afternoon. Light breeze blowing towards us from the position that you're seated at, thanks to our talented cameraman Jess Ferro today. Nice work from Zoricic. Now O'Donovan. Less impressive ball from Zoricic with his left foot. They've got to be careful to not kill it out here. Olympic on the turnover. They were a couple of times last weekend. Fong launching onto this one. Decent ball, Ortiz. Crucial touch from Zoricic. Kamada. He was just off balance the whole way. Fired his shot wide. James's goal is coming under bombardment, but he's not had too many meaningful saves to make just yet. Opening 20 minutes, considering the situation in the game, I think will be considered as a success by Olympic. Just the one goal across the two fixtures between these two teams last season came from Nathan Roberts, who's on the bench today for City in the first of those two meetings at Penshurst Park. In fact, only played 3 times in competitive matches, St George City and Olympic. Olympic yet to defeat their opponents today. 1-0 win in that first game was followed by a 0-0 draw towards the back end of last season. Of course, one of the biggest days in City's short history as a football club when they knocked Olympic out of the Australia Cup back in 2022. Still a League One side back then, whereas Olympic would go on to win the Premiership that same year. Game went to extra time before St George City prevailed on penalties. Made it all the way to round 7, the final round of qualifiers for the round of 32, the main draw where the A-League teams get involved, where they were knocked out by Wollongong United of the Illawarra Premier League. So yet to feature in the round of 32 proper. That might be another achievement they're looking at adding to their very long list. In just over a decade as an established senior football club. James knocking it out with his left foot. He's looking for Parkhouse. Another one of the Olympic attacking players getting into his, well, it's a bit unkind to say his latter years, but certainly not the young, fresh-faced early 20-year-old that we saw burst onto the scene for Manly United at the start of the 2010s. Still an effective force down the left if he's given space. He's going to be asked to do a bit more defending than usual today. Lovely switch from Karemalevsky to pick out Kamada. Couple to aim for. Ortiz just didn't time his jump. It's a couple of chances that have gone to the head of Presley Ortiz. He was onside that time. Another good ball in from Kamada. If he continues to get that sort of service, it's really only a matter of time before Noah James is going to face something a little bit more difficult bearing down on him. Other game going on at the moment. It's down at Seymour Shore. Sutherland Sharks taking on Spirit FC. That one's 0-0 at half time, but there's been a red card there too. Sutherland down to 10 men. It's after Spirit came away with a 0-0 draw from their opening match against Sydney FC last weekend. See if they can answer the question that St George City are having put to them at the moment by a team with 10 men. Curry getting onto that one. Erkan set up perfectly for him, and Michael Hatton did well to get in the way and block. Kamada. It's been a constant threat down the left in the opening quarter of this match. Kamada again looking to slide it in for Ortiz. Well read by Will Much, who's looked pretty good alongside Ten Qual. Doesn't offer the physical sight certainly that Timotheou does, but he's acquitted himself well to this point. Still a long way to go for Olympic if they're to get a result here. It's a poor ball for Fong, who's had an up and down start to this one. His defensive work's been tidy, but in a couple of situations like that where he hasn't got full value. Certainly not the easiest opponent to go head-to-head with in Jackson Bandiera. It's a risky ball back from Karamilevsky. Kenny did well to sense the danger and sweep it up. Almost found Kamada as well. Wasn't quite able to. Just joining us, Alex Molchanoff with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube page this afternoon. George Timotheou's red card after barely 30 seconds of this game has changed its complexion somewhat, or certainly what we're expecting coming into the game. City having a lot of the football, Olympic forced to do a lot of defending. They're going to be forced to do it here because Bresley Ortiz is bearing down on goal. Diving back was Michael Hatton, who's been outstanding in the opening 25 minutes. Been a lot of this sort of play with Brodie Clarkson acting as the metronome, if you like, for City in midfield. He's had a lot of space in there with Olympic sitting deep. It's been the two Sutherland old boys in Clarkson and Kamada that have done a lot of the work. Ortiz with space, trying to lay it off. City just getting a little bit lost in those sort of situations when Olympic numbers pile back. O'Donovan getting a touch on that one, which sends it out for a City throw. Scored a wonderful goal here in the third round last year against Sydney FC, Roy O'Donovan. One of those 16 that he totaled up last campaign. Led to a 3-1 win that day. The only game Olympic played here last year, and that was an away fixture. This one's been moved due to the state of the pitch at Belmore. Clarkson. It's the nominal away side who are having more of the ball and more of the territory. Haven't created an awful lot of chances to this point. Presley Ortiz's header, which ended up over Noah James's crossbar, probably the closest they've come to this point. Olympics' discipline defensively has been impressive so far. It's whether they can do it for 90 minutes that will decide whether they're able to get anything out of this one. Costa Petrados, dancing feet. Curry. Kamada again. for Clarkson. Can he find a way through? He's found Kostobetratos. Difficult chance for City's number 11 on the half turn. Wasn't able to keep the effort down. He's going to be key to them today because, one, he's got the ability to run at opponents, but it's more going to be his ability to do that sort of thing and pick the ball up in little spaces like that between defence and midfield. That space is going to be so compact. How many different threats can City offer this 10-man Olympic side over the course of the 90 minutes? Mention how Olympics discipline will be key. City's creativity in those sort of areas will be just as telling. Two warriors of the midfield, Zerkan and Mikkel Hatton, going head-to-head. St George City captain winning out there. Kamada, one way then the other, and was looking to draw the challenge from Much, and, well, no decision from the referee. Where I'm standing, looks as though Kamada might have been a little fortunate not to be booked. Tarek Erkan certainly doesn't think so, neither did Lewis Curry. I thought he was caught by Will Much as he came across to make the challenge. Not enough contact there for the referee. And such is the plight of the officials that Aliti is appealing for the exact thing I just mentioned, which was a yellow card for the opposition. Mirko Jirel now giving the fourth official, Blake Sanchez Cruz, an earful as well. Found himself in the book last weekend in the early stages against Rockdale, the City head coach. Neither of these two coaches are, well, laid back, let's put it that way, on the sidelines. Kostobetratos for Curry. Looking for, get a shot away. It was well pushed away by James, and then Bandiera was quickest to the rebound. He had to be, because Ortiz was sniffing around there for anything loose. Tidy piece of work from the Olympic goalkeeper. And Kamada with a loose touch. He's pointing at the touchline. I don't know if there's another light line or perhaps a bit of drainage they've cut there, which can confuse players every now and then. Certainly wasn't seeing eye to eye with the AR on that occasion. O'Donovan and then Casella tumbling over. I think the free kick's been given for the first infringement. But Casella might have fallen over O'Donovan's prostrate body. In any case, Olympic have taken that free kick quickly. Has been a wild start to this game. Only really missing a goal. Much with a good ball forward for Casella. Well nicked off him by Monahan Viker. It's the other player to have found his way into referee Jake Rose's notebook. O'Donovan applauds the effort of the ball forwards, berates himself for not being able to control it. Ramilevsky, this is where City need to move the ball a little more quickly. Easier said than done with the amount of numbers Olympic are getting behind the ball. There will be a point in this game where City have to throw more and more numbers forward if they're not able to find the goal. It's some way down the track yet. Donovan trying to draw a foul. Referee Rose was right on the spot. Judge Hong won the ball fairly. Hong for Fong, who did well. It's caught by Bandiera late. Play on for now, says the referee. There was no advantage paid, so no foul. Eventually between them, Bandiera and Quoll are able to avert the danger. So after a lot of madness early in this game, we've reached a stalemate of sorts. Who's able to change the status quo? Famoto Kamada's showed signs he might be able to. Curry another. Clarkson hasn't been able to find the telling ball to this point. A decent chance forward for Costa Petrados about 5 minutes ago, which the City striker fired over the crossbar. There's been a lot of balls like that which have been fairly easily dealt with by Olympic as Erkan slides in on Mikkel Hatton. Never one to shy away from a challenge, the City skipper. Didn't time that one quite as he would have liked. The pace of this game will suit Olympic for now. Good time to bring you the substitutes because with all the craziness early, we haven't had the chance to do that. So let's do that now. Olympic Labano Haliti have number 9, Ollie Pufflet there. Number 14, another attacking option in Michael Varkis. Number 15, Will Much is already on the pitch. Number 17, Abraham Majok. Number 19, Gianni Di Pizio, and the reserve goalkeeper, number 20, Chris Parsons. So they win an attacking throw. Antonis. More attacking of the two Olympic midfielders. That's not to say Mikkel Hatton can't make things happen if he's asked. He's going to try and do here. Step turns back and just elects to keep possession. The more they can have of the ball, Olympic, the less defending they'll have to do. Obvious thing to say, but so important when you're down to 10. Done well, Mikkel Hatton to slide away from Clarkson, then he's loose with a challenge on Erkan. No free kick awarded though. Olympic just able to reset. For St George City, should they need them, number 7, Nathan Roberts, number 9, Maki Petratos, number 10, Jason Romero, not in the starting lineup today. The big off-season signing from Apia Leichhardt, returning to the club. Where he spent a couple of seasons while they were down in League One. Quite how Jason Romero managed to be at that level of football in this state, given what he's gone on to do since. Like such an attacking threat for Apia Leichhardt in this competition, and then spending time with MacArthur Bulls in the A-League last season. Boggles the mind. Number 19, Jesse Foti, another young player with plenty of promise. Number 28, Noah Ovens is another one of them. Number 13, Joe Knowles is the reserve goalkeeper. Ten minutes to go this first half, plus any time added on. Another decision which draws frustration from both Labano Haliti and the Olympic fans. It's a little unlucky, Antonis. That must have been very high up the arm. Didn't have the best angle from up here. Hong. Every player on the pitch, with the exception of Jack Kenny, the City goalkeeper, within 30 yards of Olympic's goal. Karemalevsky looking to blast his way through it. That didn't quite work out, and then Monahan Viker was caught in his heels by Casella. He shows his speed and runs away from him, at least initially, but he was always going to look to get back on that favoured left foot of his. The call from the Olympic bench is for their team to keep the ball. I'm not sure Mikkel Hatton's gone quite the right way about doing that. Receives an ear lashing from Labano Haliti. He's been pacing the touchline like a caged cat since that early red card to his centre half, Michael Theoharis. Or George Timotheu even. Kremelevsky for Costa Petrados, who's picked up these positions a couple of times. Can he produce from them? It's fallen for Presley Ortiz. His touch was heavy, and then his follow-up was heavier, catching Jackson Bandiero, who was back there in the nick of time. Olympic have been happy to put their bodies on the line. To good effect to this point. Still scoreless in our other concurrent fixture in this competition this afternoon. Sutherland and Spirit FC sitting at 0-0. A couple of games following us tonight as well. Stick around if you haven't had all your fix of football. Hills United taking on the Western Sydney Wanderers at Landon Stadium before St George FC host their first game back in the top flight for a decade up against Blacktown City, who were 6-3 winners in the match of the round last weekend. What a big result that was. Sent waves around the NPL New South Wales over last season premiers RPL Leichhardt. Massive result at Landon Stadium. Ortiz, probably the deepest we've seen him pick up the football so far this afternoon. Might have to become a more regular occurrence as the game wears on and City look to find the goal to break the deadlock. Haven't been able to do so yet. Karemalevsky stepping forward, looking to play it in towards Ortiz, who jumped. Deflection off Much. Qual was there. Flying forward, Monahan Vaika. Kamada happy to take it backwards. Casella showing good industry to try and chase it down. And he's going to have to slide back in because City are coming forward again. It's interesting, the experience of Roy O'Donovan. Any strikers looking for how to play in this situation, he's giving a great example of how having to do it. Cutting the pitch in half, not allowing City to switch the ball easily along their back line, forcing them into little cul-de-sacs like this. Otkan for Karemalevsky. Hong looking for options and not being presented with too many in red ahead of him. It's very static at the moment from the visitors. Hong created the space. Fong's touch letting him down at the crucial moment. There's a bit of frustration emanating from the City bench now. And that passage of play has drawn a collective round of applause from the Olympic faithful. A knowledgeable football crowd who know exactly what they're witnessing. At the moment, this regard effort has been of the highest quality. Parkhouse hasn't been in the game whatsoever to this point. Casella been terrific in his energy. Now Parkhouse, beautifully timed challenge by Karemalevsky, but he concedes the corner. Haven't had too much action down this end of the pitch in the last half hour. Olympic looking to make hay while the sun shines on them. Able to throw some bodies forward from this set piece. Goal would give them even more to defend. Bandiera, lovely ball. Zoricic arriving, just couldn't make the contact he needed. But the Olympic fans are encouraged by what they're seeing at the moment. Certainly wouldn't go as far as to say they look like the ones playing with the extra player. That certainly hasn't been the case, but they're creating enough of their own while limiting City's forays into their half. Certainly the quality of their chances, of which they've been very few and far between. Karemalevsky's ball forward just forces Zoricic to head clear, make better contact. Perhaps would have liked to make that sort of contact with a chance he had down the other end just a moment ago. Clarkson for Curry. This has been a thoroughly engaging watch. Battle between attack and defence in the truest sense. Defence winning out to this point. Olympic looking as though they're going to get to half-time with their clean sheet intact. Didn't look likely. If you're just joining us, the telling moment came after just 30 seconds when, on debut, George Timotheou was sent off A challenge which caught his opponent very, very high and very, very late. Referee Jake Rose didn't err with his decision. Knew what he'd seen from a very good spot and had no hesitation in bringing out the red card inside the first minute of the match. Here's Will Much, who's been the replacement at the back. Ball forward didn't match the anticipation and the interception. Waves a hand of apology at his coach, who returns the wave, appreciates the effort. Funnily enough, given the state of the game, Olympic fans might be happier going into half-time of this one than they were a week ago. They trailed 10-man Hills by a goal to nil at Belmore. Michael Hatton, another interception. They're getting up towards double digits in that stat so far this afternoon. It's been terrific through the heart of their midfield. Olympic allowed to press a little. Forced a turnover from Clarkson. Not the best touch from Zoricic though. Kamada and Antonis did what he had to do for his team. Picks up the booking. The first that Olympic have picked up this afternoon. An impressive effort in itself. Zoricic might owe young George Antonis a refreshment later on, putting him in that situation. Nice turn from Curry, and this time he's found Kamada! Blasted into the back of the net! And City's pressure pays. Olympic had held on so stoutly since going down to 10 men, but eventually the build-up of pressure proves costly. And St George City take the lead just before half-time. For Moto Kamada, who'd been such a threat down the left for the entirety of this first half, showed a cool head when he was through on goal. The finish of a striker from the wing-back. His first goal for St George City. And it gives them a lead just before the break. Noah James had not really been troubled to that point. Such had been the quality of Olympic set up defensively, but now they've got the game to chase again, just as they did a week ago. Much losing his balance as he came out. Well, that goal makes this game so much more interesting, really, from a neutral perspective, certainly not from the perspective of Olympic fans. Although striking back almost immediately would be a way to do that. City have conceded a late corner. Michael Hatton to play it in. Oh, there's a flurry of bodies. Zoricic was flashing across the face of goal, didn't make contact. Parkhouse with a second bite towards Casella. Michael Hatton, well, he wasn't expecting the ball to reach him, I don't think. That allowed Presley Ortiz to get back and clear. Rakan chases that one down, but follows it out of play, as will everyone down the tunnel at Valentine Sport Park. At the end of the first half, this round 2 clash between St George City and Sydney Olympic. The telling moment came inside 30 seconds. George Timotheou sent off inside the first minute of his Sydney Olympic debut for a high and late challenge. Looked as though Olympic might hold out until the break. Their 10 men did a good job defensively, but that resistance was broken by Fumoto Kamada. His first goal for St George City, which gives them the lead at the break in round 2 of the NPL New South Wales men's. Alex Molchanov with you for this one. We'll be back after half-time. At the break, it's Sydney Olympic 0, St George City 1. Welcome back to Valentine Sports Park, the second half of this game between Sydney Olympic and St George City in round 2 of the NPL New South Wales men's competition. 2 highlights, or lowlights depending on your point of view. First coming inside 30 seconds when George Timotheou was sent off inside the first minute of his debut for Sydney Olympic. Second coming rather later in the half for Moto Kamada, getting his first goal in the red of St George City to give them the lead and give Sydney Olympic another hole to dig themselves out of. Trailed by this same scoreline at this point of their game last weekend against Hills United, but the situation was reversed in the fact that they had 11 players against their opposition's 10. This time they're going to have to fight their way out, a man down. So what adjustments does Labino Haliti make here? The first has been to bring on Gianni Di Pizio, so it looks as though it'll be a back 3, allowing the 2 fullbacks to push on a little bit more and match St George City's formation a little more closely. It's going to be a lot of legwork to get through. In fact, it's a double substitution because Michael Vakis has found his way onto the pitch for Olympic as well. So George Antonis, one of those removed, and Jaden Casella, the other, who was so influential in an attacking sense for Olympic, has been removed by Haliti. So let's see how those two are able to influence this game. For City, the task will simply to go on with it and hopefully exploit any little spaces that begin to open up as Olympic push further and further forward to try and get something out of this game. But they were certainly the dominant teams in terms of territory and possession in the first half. No surprise given their man advantage. Question will be whether they're able to see out this lead and perhaps add to it as the second half wears on. This match moved from Belmore. It was meant to be played at the home of Sydney Olympic, but the state of the pitch has put paid to that. Not quite enjoying their trip a few minutes up the road to Valentine Sports Park and Football New South Wales HQ. City enjoying it rather more. Olympic haven't exactly been hospitable hosts. Presley Ortiz felt the full brunt of that challenge from Timotheou inside the first minute. Olympic looked as though their wall was going to hold up for large parts of that first half as City struggled to break through. Wonder whether that goal will give them the confidence they need to go on with it. Needs to shut down the threats of players like Costa Betratos and Presley Ortiz. The goal coming from the wing-back who finds himself on the ball here. Kamada. He's had good fun running at Zoricic this afternoon, but that's a smart piece of defending from the former Central Coast Mariner. A nice ball forward to Vakis. Parkhouse. Almost acting as an up-front duo with Rory O'Donovan now. The 2 experienced heads charged with trying to find the equaliser. Clarkson cool as ever. Perhaps a little casual in playing that ball forward. It's given Olympic the chance to break. Ball finding its way between Parkhouse's legs rather than at the instep of his foot. DiPizio. Hopeful ball. Hong was the wrong side of O'Donovan initially. Clever flick from Parkhouse, and Hong getting back to clean up. I won't say it was his error, but certainly hesitated in letting the ball bounce. Can the wit and guile of the old fox, Roy O'Donovan, be the key to getting Olympic back into this fixture? Certainly started brightly here in the second half. On a dreary day in Sydney's northwest. Been patches of drizzle, but largely dry for the players so far. Hasn't been the only game with action this afternoon. No goals in the other match which is underway at Seymour Shore. In fact, it only has 10 minutes to go. Sharks and Spirit locked at 0-0. Both teams have had a player sent off there. It's been a physical day of NPL New South Wales football. Lovely ball from Michael Hatton, who's probably been the pick of Olympics players, and a, well, uncompromising challenge. No, that's not the way the referee saw it. Jake Rose are judging a dive from Varkis and electing to book him. Fong playing it forward. Ortiz. Going to play that ball into the area. Zoricic getting back to clear. And if the Olympic fans weren't already upset, they certainly are now. Ortiz straying offside, so did well to put the ball in the back of the net, but fairly easy decision for the assistant on the far side. Animated is probably an understatement at the moment. City do well to keep their focus, certainly the Olympic players as well. DePizio almost found a telling ball through for O'Donovan earlier. This one finds the feet of Parkhouse. Now Jacob Kresnar, another one of the substitutes for Labano Haliti, finding his way down the left. In fact, there's Bandiera. That's a nice piece of play from Lewis Curry, showing all his experience to draw the foul from Zoricic, and then good heads-up play from Brody Clarkson to try and play in Costa Petratos. Ball back there to sweep up and put the ball out of play. Olympic are going to be careful not to be caught up in their frustrations. Fong stepping in, finding Petratos. And a lovely ball back to Cameron Fong. Good block from Qual. Ball still alive for City. Ten Qual doing a brilliant piece of defensive work there. Could seize the corner, but it could have been much, much worse for Olympic. Now another corner to defend. Looked pretty solid defensively in these sort of situations. Costa Petratos, there's a lot of red bodies forwards, couldn't pick one of them out. Bandiera's touch initially, Fong lining up, took too long over it. Donovan was out to block. Parkhouse, strong, and then clever with the ball forward for Zoricic. Kamada wrestling his way back into the contest, and then the high boot. Has drawn another whistle from the referee, and more protests from the Olympic supporters. Kamada will take his time. He's already got a goal this afternoon. City's physio is ready to go up and treat him. Splash of water will do for now. And as if it wasn't tough enough for Olympic, there's a couple of very dangerous substitutes being readied for City. And in fact, Kamada, that's going to be, I think, his last action of this football match. No? Is Jake Rose going to be allowing this substitution to take place? He is now. So Kamada gets his goal and will take his bow from the few City fans that are in attendance here this afternoon. And it's his opposite wing-back rather, Cameron Fong, is being pulled off as well. So an attacking substitution from Ural. So he goes looking for a second goal. Marky Petratos joining his brother Costa up front, and Jason Romero making his second appearance since his return to St George City from RPL Leichhardt, where he became one of the competition stars. Of course, has history with this club. His second stint here, after spending time down in League One with them from 2019 to 2021. He's travelled a bit of the world since then, just before then. He's brought back to the country by City after a short stint in Sweden. Farkas, who's already been in the book, is just going to be a little careful. Won the free kick off Curry. And now referee Jake Rose is going to book Lewis Curry. There's a lot of noise around this venue. Could be a referee. So that's a couple of bookings for St. George City now. Monaghan Viker was the other one in the book in the first half. He goes up and wins that header. Concedes the throw. Taken quickly by Bandiera for Parkhouse. Two very left-footed players for Olympic down that left flank. They've combined there to win their side of corner. 10 minutes into their second half. Somewhat driven on by the atmosphere, which has become rather fractious at Valentine Sports Park. Only one thing that would make these fans any louder, and that would be an equaliser. Decent ball, but fairly easy catch for Jack Kenny in the end. Ten Qual's been the consistent target of those set pieces this afternoon for Olympic. Lovely piece of distribution from Kenny for Costa Petratos. And now Romero, his first touch since joining us. Monaghan Viker. He was looking for Maki Petratos, was just on a different page. Good challenge from Erkan, or was it? The first foul he's committed this afternoon. Must be walking the tightrope on the edge of a booking as well. Zoricic. There's just a bit of a fire about Olympic at the moment. You feel if they are to get themselves back into this game, it might come in this next little period. Ball forward from Much to find Parkhouse. Drifted out to the right. It's the area Casella was operating in for most of the first half. He was removed at half-time by Labano Haliti. Space here for City to exploit if they work it right. Petratos trying the reverse ball, easily picked off by Much. Been very good through the centre of the park since coming on. He was the replacement in that position for Timofeu after his early red card. Darcy Burgess on the pitch for barely a minute today. The unfortunate innocent bystander, if you like, of Timofeu's early red card. Three substitutions already used by Haliti. Another one about to join us, Ollie Pufflet, who's darting around next to the fourth official, Blake Sanchez-Cruz. Clarkson cool as ever through the middle of the pitch for City. Here's Maki Petratos. For Erkan, Curry. Now Hong. Romero is going to try and take up the attack. It's Kamada left it down this left flank. Starting position will be a little higher. The threat he will offer to Olympics backline will be just as much, if not more, telling. I think Ortiz started from an offside position there. He did. Well marshalled by Qual. He has been for the majority of the game this afternoon. I mentioned Ollie Pufflet was being readied. Now he's about to join us. Parkhouse got through a lot of work without a lot of the ball today. Certainly not the pattern of the game he enjoys most, but he receives a fair whack of applause from the Olympic fans. And Pufflet will certainly offer a physicality that Parkhouse doesn't. Perhaps something for Roy O'Donovan. He certainly looks to be a more traditional pairing up front. His first touch is going to be to try and win this ball. Well, marshalled by Clarkson initially. Lobbed back up by DePizio. Romlewski winning in the air. Mikkel-Hatton on the ground. Still he's going. Sam Mikkel-Hatton just bullied his way past 2-3 players. Probably the smallest player on the pitch this afternoon. Says nothing of the size of his heart. And Olympic, for their man disadvantage, have probably spent more time in their opponent's half than vice versa in the opening quarter of an hour of this second half. Pizio just shepherding it out of play. Taking quickly, Bandiera looking to tee something up. Hasn't he had the last couple of years? Jackson Bandiera went from NPL New South Wales champion with Blacktown City in 2022, won the grand final at Combank Stadium, provided the cross for the goal, and wrestled to the ground was Varkas by Josh Hong, who's been the target of a lot of the screams and shouts emanating from the Olympic fans here this afternoon. Was pinged that time for, well, it was almost something that rugby league players readying for their season at Belmore would have been proud of. Sense that Olympics' best opportunities in this second half might come from situations like these. They've got a very eminent dead ball taker in Jackson Bandiera. Michael Hatton, part of a two-man committee over this one. It's Bandiera. It wasn't too far away whatsoever. Hearts in mouths for just a second. Got plenty of bend and whip on that one. Beautiful striker of the football. Kenny was searching for Romero or Ortiz. Struck it between them and neither of them could reach it. Hofflet with a loose header forward, I'll say that. Oh, lovely footwork from Karemelevsky. Always been competent and confident, really, with the ball at his feet for a defender. Started his life in first grade as a fullback under Mikko Jurel. Moved to the centre, much befitting his height and physical abilities in the air. Hasn't lost that ball-playing ability. All three, the defenders across City's back three, are more than competent with the ball at their feet. Ona and Vika is one of the most consistent threats for Mount Druittstown Rangers last season in what was a difficult season for them. Ended in relegation. But his performance has led to a contract elsewhere. She was happy to take up. Stay at the top tier of New South Wales football. But Donovan's still showing plenty of energy. Wonder, of course, that he's nominally an assistant coach of Labano Haliti, as well as being their star striker and captain. It's Marky Petratos trying to link up with Costa. Curry came out of that forest of bodies with the ball and then dribbled it out of play. Fractious atmosphere has just lowered a little. Doesn't look to it on the Olympic bench. Blake Sanchez Cruz has been consistently over to the left-hand side of us where their bench and dugout is. Been rather calmer on the City side, understandably. Marky Petratos got his head to that. I don't know whether he meant to or not, but it did strike him last before going out of play. It's a bit of sloppy work from DePizio, in all honesty, and it's given City room to spring into. Costa Petratos running at Qual. Now with Marky Petratos. Well, look up, back to his brother. Spins him behind. Bandiera back to block, but the ball only deflects behind. Another St. George City corner. Olympic have provided the ball boys this afternoon, who are placed around the outside of the pitch, but their bench are also keen to get the ball back in play as quickly as possible when it runs away like that. There are a few little runoff areas that can delay the restart here at Valentine Sports Park. Corner taken short. Curry just floats it up to the back post, commanding from James to win the ball in the air. only as far as Romero. That's a good win by Varkis, who's looking to feed Ollie Pufflet in the foot race with Clarkson, who had a bit of a head start, led all the way. Every little win is being applauded as though it was a goal at the moment by the fans here at Valentine Sports Park. Lovely switch of play from Karamalevsky to pick out Maki Petratos. Again going head-to-head with Bandiera and getting the better of him. Maki Petratos. Mikkel Hatton shepherding him back into a less dangerous area. Bandiera once again recovering to block. Once again conceding the corner. Maki Petratos to deliver this time. Good piece of defending by Much to get to the front post. Karamalevsky lining up with his left foot. And Zoricic clears it towards the stand on the near side. Olympics' early ability in this second half to really work their way down into City's half has evaporated a little bit in the last 5 minutes. City searching for their second with Romero and Curry, and was brought down by Mikkel Hatton, and the referee had very little hesitation in pointing to the spot. Well, Olympics feeling that they've had the rough end of the stick this afternoon. Hasn't been done any favours by that. It was a nice piece of work from Curry, darted away, and Mikkel Hatton, who's got through so much work, perhaps just a little tired, a little slow in getting across his man, bringing him down. Whether there was enough contact to warrant a penalty, others will debate. But now Jason Romero, one of the most dangerous strikers in the league, has a chance to open his account in 2024. Just the 6 goals last campaign after double digits the year before. All in readiness to Olympic jeers. Jason Romero, great save! Noah James stands up and denies Romero a first goal of 2024. Can that buoy them again? And now they're appealing for something more on Romero, who slid into the challenge. Will Much recovering to try and retrieve the save. Was certainly caught by Romero. I think the decision is just a throw, though. The referee judging him to have won the ball first. And just to rub more salt into Olympic wounds, I think the throw might have gone City's way. Goodness me. Costa Petratos. It's just bullied off it really by DePizio. The ball had already gone out of play, but it is an Olympic throw. So still, Olympic have been down and out in this game for well over an hour, but they just won't go away. Noah James' save from Jason Romero's second half penalty, keeping them in it. Into their 69th minute of this game with 10 players. Maki Petratos with a gorgeous touch to bring it down. He's really given Bandiera issues since coming on. Oh, and that's a lovely back heel again. Curry charging into the box again. Who's looking to find Maki Petratos, well read by Much. The early substitute. Started on the bench today, but he's going to end up totting up more than 90 minutes of play. In fact, he's looking a little worse for wear for it. Varkis' ball forward was more in hope than anticipation. Well read by Karamalevsky. Good pressing by Pufflet. And Zoricic, who's worked hard today, but quality of his balls forward has lacked a little. Been put under plenty of pressure defensively. First by Fumoto Kamada, who got the only goal of this game, and by Jason Romero, his replacement. Another scrap in midfield. This game is really getting very testy. Free kick went City's way. Romero's just looked a little out of sorts since being brought on. Had his penalty saved, and then it's probably a little lucky that he wasn't booked or at least given a foul against. Hong running away from players. Now Kuri running away from players. An advantage awarded by the referee. Costa Petratos sent to retrieve that ball out wide. Back for Maki. Happy to go with either foot. Instead just lays it back for Erkan, the safe option. Costa Petratos. Maki playing a game between themselves, the brothers. Kuri gets involved. Maki Petratos saved initially by James. It's still there for Maki Petratos, and he couldn't get a second shot away. But covering Olympic defence did enough. Well, time almost seeming to stand still there. And still City's number 9 couldn't find it way to goal. Noah James with 2 big saves in a matter of moments. Ortiz has really faded to the periphery of this game. Such has been Olympics' attentions to his threat. Josh Hong, who's seen a lot of the ball today. Erkan, seen a little less of it than he did in the first half in the second. Petratos, almost playing at walking pace at the moment. The City substitute. Twisting and turning his way past defenders. DePizio didn't give it up that time. Oh, lovely run in behind. Erkan found him. Maki Petratos again the threat. Dancing feet. James standing up at his near post again. He's proven hard to beat this afternoon, the former Newcastle Jet. Lovely bit of distribution to find Pufflet as well. Just too many red shirts around him. And this is going to be the challenge for Olympic now as time ticks away. Hong for Romero. Certainly this might be seen by them as a method to victory in its own manner. Just keeping the football off their opposition might be enough. Well, they haven't looked to be just happy with that. Certainly the nature of Mirko Yuril's substitutions in this second half have suggested they're looking for more. The impact of Maki Petratos has been instant. Jason Romero a little less lethal than we might have expected. And so a good hand lent to Roy O'Donovan, as it always is by Olympic fans. The fresh legs of Abraham Majok to be brought on, the 25-year-old. Another player out there today with A-League experience, 21 games with the Central Coast Mariners and the Western Sydney Wanderers. For him, a couple of goals at A-League level. James probably with his ugliest contribution of the second half, and if that's as bad as it gets, I think Labano Aliti, for all the tough times he's endured this afternoon, knows that he's picked up a very, very good goalkeeper for season 2024. Clarkson trying to keep the attack alive. Mikkel Hatton, well, we know his quality, but he's turned that one over. Erkan, again, Presley Ortiz is marshalled by 2 or 3 Olympic players. Mikkel Hatton was trying to buy a foul, the contact never came. Hong, lovely scoop ball. Erkan still getting a bit messy through the middle there. Majok's got the pace and physicality to give the City defence troubles. And certainly he's perhaps been fired up by what he's seen standing or sitting on the touchline. Asked to keep his head by referee Jake Rose. I'd say a measure of calm has descended upon Valentine Sports Park. Certainly there's a frustration boiling under the surface for Sydney Olympic and their supporters. Ortiz. First time we've really seen him with space in this second half. Not the first time we've seen Marky Petratos with this sort of time. He's found Costa. Another brilliant save by James. The star of the second half, Sydney Olympics goalkeeper. The save from Romero's penalty, matched by a couple of equal quality since. Most impressive thing about that one was he not only managed to get a hand to it, he managed to corral the football and stop it from rebounding into a dangerous area. He has led from the back this afternoon. As afternoon turns to evening at Valentine Sports Park. Famato Kamada's goal just before half-time. Still all that separates Sydney Olympic and St George City. Zoricic. This is what he loves to do, get forward against his old Central Coast Mariners teammate, Hong. Romero was back there doing some dirty work. Strength so often is his striking ability, but proving he can do the defensive side of the game as well. Curry, who won the penalty, which Romero had saved, turning that one over. McElhatton, still full of energy. A smart ball forward, Zoricic. Every time Olympic cross halfway, their fans are up and about. Much draws the contact from Ortiz and wins the free kick. And now Josh Hong has stayed down, which is going to lead to another short delay. Referee Rose pointing to his watch, suggesting that he's adding all this time on. Now having a strong word with Ollie Pufflet, who's taken the captain's armband from Roy O'Donovan. Asking for calm, but I'm not sure how much that request is going to wear. Looks as though Hong has made his last contribution to this afternoon's action. Substitute coming for St George City, Noah Ovens. Sutherland Jr., former Sydney FC Academy player, made his way onto the pitch for the first time in red and white. Goes into it's a like-for-like sub because he's gone straight into the right side of that back three. Jesse Foti, another of City's off-season signings, has made his way on as well. It's the last piece of action for Presley Ortiz this afternoon. Immediately called on to do some defending too. It's the first one of those substitutes, Ovens, and Costa Petratos getting tangled up with Bandiera. All was fair, said the referee. Bandiera stayed down, claiming he's been caught on the head, and having seen that he's reached for the back of his neck, the referee's obliged to stop play. Wonder if the madness here wasn't enough. A couple of games following immediately after us. Hills United hosting their first game in the top tier of New South Wales football this afternoon as they take on the Western Sydney Wanderers youth side. And St George FC taking on Blacktown City at 7 o'clock. Here's Majok. Olympic still searching for an equaliser. It's a lovely touch by Foti. He's got plenty of quality about him as well. Got numbers here, St George City, if they play it right. Good recovering run from McElhatton just to slow the play. Marky Petratos, a little casual as he tried to get past 10 Qual. It's proven a difficult stone to move this afternoon. The left side of Olympics starting centre-half combination this afternoon, both making their starting debuts. George Timotheus didn't last 10 minutes, and then Zoricic, who's had a tough afternoon of it. Had the ball initially and then just lost track of it. Not long now for Olympic, and City slowing the play at every opportunity now, sensing the 3 points. Well, it's well within their grasp. Little sloppy with the ball there, though. Nice touch from DePizio. Much for Quoll. DePizio again. It's really been the orchestrator from the deep-lying midfield position since coming on. Mikkel Hutton slightly ahead of him. Zoricic making an adventurous run. Came to an end fairly quickly. And now he can try and break. Costa Petratos looking for Jesse Foti, who's full of pace, but he couldn't get past Will March. Olympics defence holding firm. More and more strain being placed on them as the time ticks on, and they throw more and more numbers forward. Take the top off this place, the low stand at Valentine Sports Park if Olympic were to find a late equaliser. City might have wrapped it up earlier in the second half. Jason Romero's penalty saved by Noah James. That's for Moto Kamada's goal just before half-time. Still the only one that separates us. Romero might be trying to make right with that. Running at Quoll. He's looking to square it up. Saddle for him on his left. And Bandiera was in the way. Blue bodies flying towards the ball every time it enters their penalty area. Labano Haliti hasn't taken a rest in this second half. Been up at the edge of his technical area for its entirety. Urging his team forward. As Jack Kenny spreads the ball to the other side where Noah Ovens waits. Foti. Stretching for it, but managed to retain possession. Clarkson, who's had plenty of space through that midfield area for the majority of the afternoon. Marky Petratos timed his run and kept the ball in play. He's got red bodies joining him. And a beautifully timed challenge from Quoll, who brought the run to an abrupt end. Another corner to defend for Sydney Olympic. So another game we were keeping you updated on as well. Sutherland Sharks and Spirit FC has finished 0-0. Spirit yet to score, yet to concede in their first two games. Sutherland ending that game with just 9 players. The Spirit had a man sent off in the second half as well. Marky Petratos, front post. Clarkson missed it. Deflected off much. And behind for another corner. James' efforts to keep it in play in vain. Take two for Marky Petratos. Clarkson the target at the near post. Over him. Abraham Majok getting back there to do some defending. And then getting up his own clearance to get Olympic driving forward. Well-timed challenge by Costa Petratos, who wanted the throw but didn't get it. Olympic can't afford to dawdle over these sort of situations at the moment if they want anything from this game. DePizio. It's been so tidy since coming on. Another beautiful ball for Zoricic. Manages to win the throw. Nice bit of hold-up play from Pufflet. Bandiera. Pufflet's continued his run. Ball just evaded him. Into the grateful arms of Jack Kenny, who will take every one of the 6 seconds he's allowed before hoisting the ball into the evening sky. Much just driving it forward, but there was no one in blue out there. Petratos clever, really, to when he decided to throw there, just knocking the ball off Jackson Bandiera. Took the throw quickly as well. Romero's drifted more and more centrally in the half hour he's had since coming on. Ovens for City. Nice turn from Costa Petratos, away from Bandiera, linking up with Markey. Might go for goal here. Much did well to get his body in the way. Curry did well to keep the attack alive. Clarkson. And now Costa Petratos. Be careful here, Olympic. Another good block from Zoricic. Clarkson's a big body in there. Michael Hatton did enough to make sure the ball went his way. Majok scraping it out of there. Still it comes back at Olympic. Romero. Curry. Hasn't been the standout this afternoon, but it's got through a lot of good work. Romero trying to go the byline, couldn't keep it in play. Well marshalled by Zoricic. Still looking a little bit panicked for Olympic going forward, and you can understand why. It's not going to help them get a point from this game. So much energy spent defensively. It's almost been a bit frustrating when they have had to get the ball back. It's been a funny situation for City today. They've very much been the antagonists in the eyes of the crowd. Not really by any fault of their own. Been asked to play a style of football that they're not too used to, and Pumlet had just strayed. Erkan was fairly short. Not certain, though. Turned with panic in his eyes for a moment there when he saw Pufflet slide off his shoulder. An Olympics list of aggravations. Just adds another little decision to its list. I have tallied up this afternoon. Petratos into the ground. Erkan into a one-on-one with Mikkel Hatton. Varkis trying to get involved. Between he and Mikkel Hatton, they win the ball back. And he slid through Pufflet. Saw the challenge coming. And now the assistant on the near side is going to flag for the first infringement, I think, on Varkis. So it's going to be back near halfway. That's going to cause more questions than complaints. Tarek Erkan is having a real go at Alessandro Lana on the near side. Now he's going to get into a little to and fro with Abraham Majok. Two fiery characters. Certainly have been this afternoon. I was right that it was for that first challenge on Varkis, so just inside City's half. Bandiera going to be asked to whip something out of that gorgeous left foot of his. Hangs it up at the back post. Majok got up. Crowd of red bodies managed to clear. And now there's space to run into for Jesse Foti, who's going to be dragged down by Teng Qual. A sliding challenge combined with a rugby challenge. And only one decision for the referee. And there's a bit of afters back in St George City's own half here, which Alessandro Lana, the assistant on the near side, has stayed with. It was Erkan and Majok again. Erkan is writhing around in some discomfort. It could be a surprise if Majok doesn't at least find himself in the book here. Karemalevsky and Jack Kenny getting involved as well. So there's Jake Rose writing something in his notebook. I'm not sure what, because I didn't see a card brandished. Perhaps just taking a chance to catch his breath. He's barely had a moment today. Not been an easy one for the officials. Erkan is back up on his, well, he's sitting up. Referee has indicated there's going to be more time added on. I expect at least 5 minutes here. At the very least. There's been a number of these in the second half. Referee Rose now asking the City captain to receive his treatment off the pitch. Again, clutching at his elbow, whether that's supporting that joint or a collarbone. Hopefully it's not anything more serious. Still having time to have words with the officials. Nathan Roberts looks as though he's going to be his replacement. He's holding the elbow directly, Tarek Erkan, so I'm not quite sure what that coming together was over or about. Quite the state it left the City captain in. Romero turning away from trouble. Could kill the game off here. Curry. Hesitating as he chose which way to go. Zoricic read it all the way. Olympics still should have a fair amount of time to chase down this one-goal deficit. Curry flying into the challenge with Mikkel Hatton. That was high and late as well. And now the foul adjudged by the referee. He took his time to come to the decision. Is it a foul or just a 50-50? No, it's not a foul, just a drop ball. The City claiming they had the football. The ball is in play, so now he kicks it back. Majok involved in another little to and fro. This one seems to be in better spirit than the one earlier with Tarek Erkan, who is back with us. Hasn't needed to be replaced. Ian Majok getting tangled up again. Hard to keep track of everything going on that football pitch at the moment. So many little incidents and coming togethers. Clarkson the coolest head amongst all of it. Lucky Petratos trying to turn away from Mikkel Hatton. City have scrapped the ball wide. Now they'll look to put a measure of calm on it as they look to hold on to this 1-0 lead. Costa Petratos. Foti outside him. Back to Costa. Ian Markey linking up again. Pufflet with some touch on that. Wasn't the intended one. Costa bringing it down with his backside. It is absolutely frantic out there. Romero trying to link up with Costa Petratos again. Romero trying to shape to shoot. Too many blue shirts ahead of him. Foti. And a net win for City because they've eaten more time off the clock, even if they weren't able to find a shooting opportunity. It's still with Romero. Marky Petratos will look to get back on his right. Finds Costa in space. Touch betrayed him. Still retain possession, City. Now Petratos happy for the game to be played at this pace. Oh, weaving between defenders and looking to get a shot away. It flew high and wide of Noah James's net. Needs a ball, any ball. Screams from players, coaches, officials. But Jock was clever. Romalewski hoisting it in the air. Returned by Bandiera. Pufflet easing Clarkson out of the way, but his touch let him down. And Curry's just happy to have it up the other end. Calls from St George City for the final whistle now. James, there's blue bodies forward here. Tenqual rather has been thrown forward as well. Majok did well. Needed on the ground, Olympic. City happy for it to be up there. Majok getting all the way back to claim it. Bandiera takes over. DePizio. It's been the coolest head for Olympic out there in the second half. Now Ollie Pufflet. Dancing feet again. Not his favourite foot. And Jack Kenny gets in behind it and then falls on it. Referee glances at his watch and brings the game to a close. St George City hang on in a wild and woolly game of football. It all started within 30 seconds. George Timotheou sent off less than 30 seconds into his Sydney Olympic debut. That put the hosts in a hole early, one that they nearly dug themselves out of. At least it looked like they might at the end of the first half, before Fumoto Kamada took his chance brilliantly to put St George City 1-0 up. Jason Romero might have made it 2 from the penalty spot in the second half. Noah James was inspired to save that, and then a couple more St George City opportunities. Neither side able to find the back of the net again after that. And so 10-man Olympic fall for the second week in a row. Not the start to the season they'd envisaged, but a good bounce back for St George City after their first round defeat. Well, it's been fun keeping track of this one for you on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Thank you for your company wherever you are. A reminder, there's a couple more games that you'll find right where you found this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube page under the live tab. Make sure you stick around for those. But from Valentine Sport Park, it's good night. The final score, Sydney Olympic 0, St George City 1.